بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على
اللهم
محمد
صل على
وآل
محمد وآل
محمد
محمد.
وعجل فرجهم. So we left off in the book Greater Sins on page 66, talking about the second greater sin, despairing of the mercy of Allah. And we left off, we were saying that Allah changes situations. So we shouldn't give up hope because something is impossible for us, Allah can change it. And we talked a lot about that. And we said not to give up so much on people because people can change too. Sometimes it looks like this person would never, ever become a mu'min. Seem like the worst of people, but they change. Sometimes people come from bad lineage even, and they become great believers, you know. Then we have some people who come from the lineage of prophets and they become, you know, not believers. We see the son of Nuh, alayhi salam, in this case. Or we see Muhammad ibn Abu Bakr, for example, great companion of Imam Ali, alayhi salam, even though his father opposed Imam Ali, alayhi salam. So we see that we shouldn't give up on people. And we mentioned the story of Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi, that he put the Imam in that situation. And then the last moments of his life, he changed. Those 30 or so soldiers who heard the speech of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, they were in the camp of Yazid, ready to murder the grandson of Rasulullah, ready to kill the people in his camp. They heard his speech, their heart changed, and Allah changed their heart, allowed them to have that tawfiq, divine privilege. They got inspired to leave falsehood and go towards the truth, and they laid down their life for the sake of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And we still remember them to this day when we say salam on the companions of Imam Hussein and we visit the shuhada in Karbala. So Allah can change things. So we shouldn't give up hope in the mercy of Allah and think that we are so far gone that Allah will never forgive us. We've done something so bad, Allah can't forgive us. We should always have hope and turn towards Allah. Because this can happen to the person. They can feel, I've done so many bad things. How can I come back towards the path of Allah? How can I come back? I'm ashamed to come back. What will people think of me? People think bad about me, then I have to show my face there. Don't worry about what people think. And also, this is something personal between us and Allah. Even if we're not around the community, we should still turn towards Allah. Sometimes people don't forgive, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives. I remember reading something one time. This guy was calling on an idol. He, like, for example, Uzza, like he kept calling on this idol over and over and over and over again. And then one time he slipped in his tongue. It said like something close to that. It says Aziz, name of Allah. Allah says, here I am, you know, I'm here to answer you. Allah turns to those who call on him. So we have to, you know, not give up hope in Allah. So back to the text where we left off. It said one should never lose hope of achieving high moral traits and perfection in one's faith. In fact, one should not even doubt the possibility of achieving it. Even though this type of deficiency in hope is not totally haram, yet the true believer should refrain from it. So we shouldn't think ourselves as low. We shouldn't put ourselves down and think that our capacity is not much, that we can't do anything. A lot of times, one person can make a huge difference. For example, we see that Sheikh Zakzaki in Nigeria, one person, look how much influence he had and how much change he did in Nigeria. Look at the late Sayyid Hassan al-Shirazi that was in Syria and established the Hausa in Damascus. Look how many, he stayed up for days speaking with the Alawi people, and he converted over hundreds of thousands of them to Ithna Ashari, to believe in 12 Imams, to follow the 12 Imams. So we see one person can make big difference. So we shouldn't look at ourselves as low. We look at one of the companions of the Imam, Jabir ibn al-Ju'fi. He narrated over 70,000 narrations from Imam. Imagine one person having the capacity to memorize and narrate 70,000 narrations. One person. So we shouldn't, he's saying, don't lose hope in yourself and think that, who am I? What can I do? If everyone thought like this, we would never get anything done. It takes the initiative and the spark and the change, the belief in ourselves that we have capability to do great things. When we believe in ourselves, we can do a lot of things that people would never think could happen. For example, a lot of times, this program that we are doing with the books, like Second Chance Books, is me and Sheikh Kuleini doing the work, But people write and they say like, oh, you have a whole, when we start to talk to us, they thought we have like a whole team of people doing a lot of things. But no, it's just like 2 people most of the time doing all the work. But it seems like a lot is getting done, 18,000 books have been sent into prison systems. They think it's like a big team of people, but it's just people, 1 or 2 people doing it. Or, for example, we see that there's a group of people in UK, 2 people translating, just 2 people. They have already translated, I think, 46 volumes of Bahar al-Anwar and many other works. 2 people. It looks like a whole team. If everyone was doing work like this in their capacity and staying within their limitations, but doing what they were able to do, making effort, we could make a lot of big differences. But a lot of times, some whispers get in our mind and say, who am I? What should I be? I shouldn't be doing anything. I leave it to someone else. I don't have any capacity to do that. But we have to get over that and not lose hope in ourselves. We see that companions of Prophet reached a great level because they believed in themselves and they wanted to change themselves, and they took the teachings of the Prophet and they changed themselves. For example, Salman Muhammadi, we have, or Salman al-Farsi as he is known. We have Abu Dhar al-Ghafari. These companions reached very high levels. They didn't lose hope in their self or their abilities. He said, on the other hand, he should not consider his apparent capabilities that he has, like his youth or her youth, strength, wisdom, capacity to think, ability to work, enthusiasm, love, etc., to be sufficient for success in the hereafter. It's not these things alone that will grant us a high station or to achieve our goals. It depends on these things. Also, the main thing it depends on is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah is the one who is giving you this power, this ability, this wisdom, this ability to think. All your capabilities, all these things stem from Allah giving you the ability to do that. He's giving you capabilities. So we have to rely on Allah for these things. We have to know that these power that we have, it is dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And a lot of times, we think that, okay, I'm just going to study and read, and this is going to give me knowledge and give me insight and give me closeness to Allah. But we read from Rawayat, for example, in the book of Munyatul Marid by Shahid Athani, he mentions some narrations, and to summarize it, is saying that knowledge is not something that is just coming from reading. Knowledge is a light and nur that Allah puts in the heart of those who He wills. So it's depending on us putting in the work, but also asking Allah to grant us this knowledge. We see Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Rabbi zidni ilma." Allah told him to say this, "My Lord, increase me in knowledge." So this is Surah Taha, I believe, ayat 114. We see that Allah told the Prophet to seek knowledge, to ask for knowledge, to ask for increase in knowledge. So we ask Allah we put in the effort by reading, but we're asking Allah through reading and studying to allow this knowledge to affect our heart, to hit and penetrate into our heart and our soul, and to be able to make a change on us. Otherwise, we just have information. A lot of people have information. They can relate narrations, they can relate stories, they can talk, they can do many things, but when it comes to acting on those things, it's not, they don't have it. That's because the information is just information. It didn't become knowledge and wisdom in their heart and their actions. We ask Allah to give us the light of the knowledge to be able to do those things that we are learning about. You know, a lot of time we'll make excuse for ourselves to, you know, try to get a good position, like a moral position in our life. We want to reach a good level of akhlaq, morality. And we make this excuse and we say, oh, well, you know, we're not perfect and there's no way that we could do something good like that. Because we think of ourselves as low. And with this, we make an excuse and a barrier to move forward. And we're just being content with whatever low level that we may be at that moment. And then we lose hope, or we even despair of trying to work on ourselves. And we saying, what is the point of even trying? Why should I work on myself? What is this? What is the point of it, all this? I'm not Masoom. I'm not perfect. I'll never reach this level. I'll never do this thing. But we have to look at, you know, we have to look at our youth, you know, and these abilities that we have. We have youth, or if we don't even have youth, we still have life. We have ability to work, all these things. You know, these are capabilities that Allah has given us, and we have to utilize those abilities. Every day, Allah is giving us something, but what are we doing with it? Are we going to be grateful for this thing that He has given us, or take advantage of these tools that He has given us? Or do we make excuse and say, oh, you know what? Don't worry about it. I shouldn't even work on myself. I think this is good enough for me, you know, and that's it. Every day we should try to increase and get better, inshallah. He says, many of people had lacked the above qualities, but when the mercy and grace of Allah came to their aid, they were raised to a high position. For example, he mentioned some names of some people who received the tawfiq from Allah when they became weak due to old age, and they were incapable of hard work and active life, yet they achieve an exalted position. For example, some scholars, maybe some people who came later in life and learned in their later years, and they didn't have all these great abilities as you know, youth and things like this. I remember seeing one person, you know, a group of people actually in Karbala. They were all they couldn't speak, you know, they couldn't talk, they were deaf. And this Sheikh I know in Karbala, one of the Mujtahideen, his son, both of them are Sheikhs as well. And they learned the language of sign language, and they would do majalis in sign language. It was amazing to see this. And these people would read Dua Kamel in sign language, and they would make the sounds because they were deaf, so they can't really speak that good because they can't hear their voices that well. And they would do latmiya, and they would do all these things, and it was amazing. They didn't have that many abilities, you know, that they could use. They didn't have like what we have, but they made the best of what they had and still did things. One of my students, he helps a person in India or Pakistan, I don't remember, one of these countries, that the person is blind, but the person recites Noha and recites Latmiya, you know, these things, very beautiful. He's blind, but he's still using, you know, he's not using it as an excuse saying, oh, I am blind, what can I do? I can't do anything for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. No, he's memorized these poetries and learned how to recite Noha very well, and he's excelling and not despairing on his own self. So we have to have a lot of hope in ourselves. He said, hopelessness is a greater sin because it implies negation of the absolute sovereignty of the Almighty. A heart illuminated with the knowledge that Allah, the creator of all existing things, is the best planner, the best executor, and the best protector. A person who has the knowledge that it is Allah who bestows a superabundance of sustenance, security, and welfare on his creatures because of his boundless mercy, limitless generosity, and unsurpassed knowledge will be comforted and reassured. So when we go back to think about the attributes of Allah, Allah is Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, the gracious, the merciful. Allah is Ar-Rauf, Al-Latif, the compassionate one. Allah is generous. Allah is, and Allah is the giver of sustenance, Al-Razak. We think about these attributes of Allah, and we find comfort that all of these things are coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it brings us sort of peace. The heart of a person will be calm and peaceful, and the question of feeling sorrowful and aggrieved will just not arise. The Creator is not unmindful of the needs of a child in its mother's womb. Nourishment is supplied to him through the umbilical cord. When the child is born, Allah provides him through his mother, wholesome and easily digestible milk. Gradually, Allah develops in him various capabilities needed for the different stages of his growth. So it's saying, look back at this. Allah took care of us in the wombs of our mothers. Allah made the life suitable for us, the means of growing and developing ourselves into a fully grown person. Allah has given us these things. Allah is taking care of us. Allah is taking care of the animals, for example. When we think about these things, we have to know and trust that Allah is aware of our situation. Allah is taking care of us. Sometimes things might not be exactly the way we want them to be at that moment, and we get frustrated. But we have to think back about the stories of prophets, for example. Allah gives us many stories of prophets. They faced many hardships. We think that we won't face any hardships. When we face hardships, we remember the hardships of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Is why it said, when you want to grieve over something, grieve over the tragedy of Karbala. When someone gets news of death of someone, they remember Imam Hussein alayhi salam. I remember one of the great scholars in Najaf, or the Sayyids, his son, one of my friend, he passed away in a car accident. And when they brought him the news, he was in the office. He just stood up and started doing musibah for Imam Hussein alayhi salam and the loss of his son, Ali Akbar, for example. He started going into this, not saying, oh Allah, why did you take my son? Why did you do this to me? I lose all my hope and this and this and that. No, he remembers that he is not the only one who has went through some difficulty. And the difficulty that Imam Hussein alayhi salam faced is the greatest difficulty. The author says, to ensure the security and happiness of the child, Allah creates deep and abiding affection in the heart of the mother for the child, and she is prepared to sacrifice all her comforts and pleasures for the child's sake. That Allah has put this love in the heart of the mother for this child, so that she will take care of this child, and she will comfort this child, and even sacrifice the things that she has and she needs in order to make sure that her child is in good condition. After having the awareness discussed above, is it possible for one to lose hope in his Lord? No. In fact, it makes it easy to repose faith in the Creator and go through all the ups and downs of life with resignation and fortitude. So we have to put our trust in the nurturer of the worlds, Rabbil Alameen, that he will take care of us and he will provide for us. Inna Allaha khayru raziqeen. Verily, Allah is the best of the providers. Allah will look after us and take care of us. This statement gives us hope. The author says, despair is a form of hidden disbelief. It is the result of ignorance about the greatness of one's Lord. When we realize the greatness of Allah and how He has the ability to change any circumstance around, even when the causes don't appear evident to us, then we will always have hope that Allah will and can help us. When we don't have this understanding, then we don't see the causes necessarily for change present. We will give up. We'll give up, and we'll give up hope. We'll have despair. So we have to always remember that the greatness of Allah, and that nothing for Him is, nothing is difficult for Him. When He wants to change something, He can change this thing. When we have this understanding that He is the nurturer, the carer, the provider, the gracious, the merciful, all these things stem back to our belief in Allah. And then we will find comfort in these things, and we won't despair of Allah. Sometimes our dua, they don't get accepted. And there's many reasons for this. We've discussed this before in Aqaid class, and have lecture on this as well, why our dua don't get accepted. But one thing I can mention from this is that the Imam says that if we were to see the rewards that we got for the dua that were not accepted in this world, will we see those rewards in the hereafter, those ones that we bore patiently, we didn't spoil them by complaining. We made dua, it didn't get accepted in this life. The reward for that in the next life, if we saw that thing, we would wish that none of our dua ever got accepted in this life. Subhanallah. So sometimes, even though the thing is not given to us here, when we see that, we'll just be, we know that something is in store for us. Allah is holding something better for us in that next life. He said, one should therefore be extremely, let me see. Okay. Despair is a form of hidden disbelief. It's the result of ignorance about the greatness of one's Lord, which is a greater sin. One should therefore be extremely cautious and guard against putting oneself in such a woeful state. The Noble Quran explains this in the verse, Surah Yusuf, Ayah 87. Surely none despairs of Allah's mercy except the unbelieving people. So Allah has classified this sin as something that disbelievers, they do. They despair of Allah's mercy because they don't know of Allah's mercy, and they don't believe in Allah, that Allah can do anything, that Allah can change situations. So they don't have any hope in Allah's mercy. So this is one of their attributes. And a believer could fall into this greater sin, but we have to make sure that we don't. We have to strive not to. When we start to get in that mood that we are like, Allah doesn't answer me, Allah doesn't look at me, Allah is not giving me, answering my dua and all of these things, we have to know that these trials and tests are things that we face in this life. And that sometimes we'll have good times and we'll have bad times. As I said many times, we say, Alhamdulillah ala kulli hal. Praise be to Allah in all situations. We have to have trust in Allah's mercy and know that it encompasses all things. We say in Dua Kumail that Allah's mercy is wide and outspread. It is spread out, spacious, wasi'ah. The author, he says, the Almighty in His infinite mercy has embedded hope in the human psychology. Even in the worst of circumstances, there is a faint glimmer of hope in the human heart, and this helps him to overcome his feeling of hopelessness. He therefore turns to his Lord and supplicates for mercy, forgiveness, redress, and Allah never turns away the supplicant. Even if we don't get dua answered here, it is something put on the side for us in the next life. As long as we do not complain, we can waste our deeds by complaining. We have to make sure that we are thankful and not unthankful. Now, the word for unthankful is the kufr, and kufr is disbelief. Disbeliever is unthankful or ungrateful to his Lord for the things that He has given him. He is ungrateful that Allah has created him, that Allah has made for him the sun, the moon, the stars, the earth, all of these things. He doesn't acknowledge or give any of this credit to Allah. So he is ungrateful to Allah for this. This is why we call the disbelievers kafirun. So it comes from the word kufr, being ungrateful. So we have to make sure that we are not ungrateful to Allah for the things that he gives us, or the thing, and neglect the bounties that he bestowed on us. Now he starts to get into talk about cures for despair or for hopelessness. The first, he says, is about the power of Allah. He says, praise be to Allah for his supreme and absolute authority over the vast universe, the earth and the seven skies. He sets the course of the stars and the planets. Not a leaf falls without his permission. He is able to do what he wills. Intellect and reason get bewildered in trying to understand his might and greatness. Can such an almighty be unable to fulfill the meager needs of his creatures? Certainly not. So how can hopelessness be justified? So he's saying that Allah does all of these things. He's so great, Al-Azim. How can, how can he not be capable of answering our meager, small needs, doing all of these other things, setting the course of the sun and the moon and the stars, the planets, is much greater than answering our small dua. So Allah is doing these great things. It is very easy for him to do these small things for us. So we should not lose hope in Allah's mercy. By looking at his power, we realize this. Second one he mentions is personal experiences. He said, one must ponder upon the various blessings Allah bestowed on us in the past, of which we had taken for granted. The Almighty has brought us safely out of the darkness of the womb. He is thoughtful of our needs, and he knows them better than we know our own selves. He fulfills them without our asking. He has rescued us from many dangerous situations, disease, and calamities. He fulfills our needs without us asking. We're asking Allah to give us air to breathe? No, but Allah is giving us air to breathe. Allah is giving us ability to speak, to hear, to see, to do many things. We don't even ask for these things. Allah is fulfilling our needs. He has rescued us from situations. All of us have been in some bad situation before, which we thought we could never get out of that situation. Maybe we were very sick. Maybe we were in a car accident. Maybe we were facing death. But we overcame that thing through the grace and bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has bestowed numerous blessings, physical, material, mental, social, and spiritual upon us, yet we become confident of our standing as individuals. We think that all of these things is just a given. It's from ourselves. Like we don't need Allah for these things. That every day we're going to wake up, we'll have air to breathe, we'll have ears to hear, eyes to see, nose to smell, all these things. But we think that this stuff is just from us, that we have it with us and we can never lose it. But Allah has given us these bounties. Any moment they can go. We have to be thankful for these things. Thank Allah that we have good health, that we have tawfiq of knowing who Allah is, knowing who the Prophet is, knowing who Ahlul Bayt are. We have to thank Allah for these and not take them as just something that we have and we will never lose. He said, why should there be hopelessness? Is he unaware of our condition? Is Allah unaware of us? Then he says, I seek forgiveness from Almighty Allah. Allah is too far exalted. Subhanallah. Allah is far above these things, that we could say that Allah doesn't know our condition. Maybe we say about people, you don't know what I'm going through. You don't understand me. You don't know this. You don't know that. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Al-Alim, the all-knowing. No ignorance is with Allah. Allah knows us better than ourselves. He said he is closer to us than our jugular vein. Allah knows our thoughts, our speech, what's in our heart, all of these things. Knowing this, we know that Allah is aware of our condition. and Allah will provide for us. Allah sometimes provides for us from places we don't even expect. We have ayat about this, that the one who fears Allah, Allah will provide for him from places he doesn't even know. Many times in our life, we are facing some difficulty, and the help comes from somewhere. We don't even know where it will come from. I'll mention a small story here because I think it's fitting in here. Maybe we have mentioned before, but the son of Sheikh Abbas al-Qummi at one time was living in Iran under the time of Shah, or one of these rulers, and he could not, he was in bad situation. He was not getting any money coming in. He had no majalis, he had no things going on, and he said, maybe I need to go work with the government. The government is paying the things. Maybe I take a mama off and go and work with government will pay. He didn't make intention to do it, but he thought about it. Maybe I need to go do that, because they're, it's like someone today, they say, oh, I have no money, I have no way of doing anything. Maybe I'll go join the army or something, because they'll pay and they'll take care of me and they'll do this. So he said, I'll go work for that. Maybe I'll do that. So at night, he fell asleep. They said he had a dream of his his father came to him in the dream, and he said, that governments, they take care of their people. They give like their elderly people stipend to live on, like we have like a social security, for example, these type of things. Governments, he said, they take care of these people and that people and this. And he said, you think ordinary government does this for their people? You don't think Imam Hussein will take care of his workers too? Imam Hussein will take care of his workers. He said, don't do that thing, that you were thinking of, going to join that government. Don't do that. Don't go work for them. Imam Hussein alayhi salam will take care of you. And it said the next morning, he woke up to the knock on the door, and the person came and he said, this is a transfer from your father to you. Subhanallah. Sheikh Abbas Qummi was dead at this time, author of Mafatihul Janan, buried in Iraq. His son was living in Iran. He's like, how is this, possible that my father give you something? He said, your father came to me in a dream and told me, give you this amount of money. So we see that a lot of times we will be in a jam. We'll be in bad situation, and we'll think of giving up hope and going to do something else that may not be the best thing to do, but we are saved through the the A'imma alayhimus salam will come to our aid as well. We say Ya Ali Madad, we say Ya Mahdi Adrikni, and they will come to our aid as well through the power and ability that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them. And Allah is always watching over us and knowing our situation. So this is what we have to remember when we go through these situations. Many times we will give up hope, but we see so many examples of people who in their last moments of desperation have had the situation or the tide turned for them. And many people who could not have children, for example, they end up having children. And when they get shifa, or they go, they do intercession as well. They ask the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam for their aid, for their intercession between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we shouldn't give up hope, and we should try all avenues. A lot of time, the quickest way to get our hajjah answered is to do another, make a vow. Ya Allah, I will do this thing. For example, I will fast for 3 days, or I will give $100 in charity, or I will read Quran completely, or I will do something, some good deed. If you help me, I need this help to get this hajjah solved. And this comes from prophetic situation where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wa went to house of Fatima Zahra alayha salam, and he saw that Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein alayhim salam were sick. He told Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam to make nadar to Allah, and they all made nadar, a vow, that they would fast for 3 days if they granted the health and the recovery of Hassan and Hussein. The health came quickly back. So all of the household, even Fidda, we call it Khadimat Zahra, servant of Zahra, all of them fasted for 3 days. And this is nadar is one of the fastest ways to get our dua accepted or our hajat answered. And many other things to do as well. We shouldn't just give up on this thing. We have to try different ways. We have to do, we have to do tawassul of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, for example. We can do nadar, all of these things. A lot of times we just say, Ya Allah, give me this thing. I need this thing. It doesn't happen to khalas. We forget it. We don't do it. We don't ask anymore. We don't do anything. We have to keep persisting. Allah likes those who are persistent in their dua. A lot of times we will be right close to getting the thing and we just give up hope. It's like the picture of the guy who's swinging the axe pick in the tunnel and the big diamond, everything is all there on the other side. He turned around and walked away. He's right there. We should always be persistent in our dua. Always keep asking Allah. Don't give up hope in Allah. Keep asking. He says, the third thing is the outward examples. He said, let us study the situation of those who were in extremely difficult times, but were hopeful of the Lord's benevolence and mercy. They continued to ask and to entreat Allah till He accepted their prayers and redressed them. So we see that, for example, Ibrahim alayhi salam was 112 years old, according to one of the narrations. In another narration, 120 years old. His respected wife, Sarah, was 97 years old. Think of this, 120-year-old man, 97-year-old woman. They didn't have any children. Allah sent them angel to inform them that they will be gifted with a son. And Quran says, and his wife was standing by, so she laughed. How, like 97 years old, now I'm going to have a child, Then he gave her the news of Ishaq. And after Ishaq, another son, Yaqub. She said, wonder at this thing, Shall I bear a son when I'm really old, woman, and this is my husband, is an extremely old man? Most surely this is a wonderful thing. They said, do you wonder at Allah's bidding or Allah's will? The mercy of Allah and His blessings are on you, O people of the house. Surely He is praised and glorious. This is Surah Hud, ayat 71, 73. So we see that this thing wasn't even expected. And there were extreme difficulty of old age, always wanted kids, never had kids. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answered the dua and gave them children, even though Ibrahim was 120 years old, Sarah 97 years old. Subhanallah. Allah is the one who does what He pleases and what He wills. So we have to keep asking Allah and not give up hope in Allah and learn from these stories of other people that have been through difficulties and our own difficulties that we have went through as well. And don't be, we say, ghafilin, like the unmindful ones. Don't become negligent and forget about all of the things Allah has done for us. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
So thank you, Sheikh, for your time. So you take inshallah 5-minute break then and come back.
Okay. I'll be back.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Mateen. Can I ask one quick question?
Okay.
How far we are to be done with this book? The one we are doing for this session.
This book, the 2 books that were chosen are very long books. Like 600-700 pages books, and this page is like 68.
Oh, this is greater and right?
Yes.
That one. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll probably be here for a while, but we'll cover a lot of things and learn a lot of good things along the way, inshallah.
Oh, inshallah, inshallah. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
so we be back inshallah at 2:50 then inshallah.
Okay.
Okay, sound.
Wa alaikum salam.